Laura knew that marriage wasn't easy, but she didn't realize she'd be dealing with money problems and quarrels over nonsense too. And then her husband Jack did the unthinkable and left her for somebody she knew. But she still got the last laugh in the end. Hello, wonderful people. I'm Scott Leffler for WonderBot. And here is, husband cheats on his wife with her sister, but she has the last laugh. Before we begin, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos. Laura and Jack met in college and started going out. After some time had passed, Jack proposed, and of course Laura said yes. The two seemed pretty happy at first, but her family wasn't convinced that these two were the perfect match. It wasn't just a gut feeling either. Jack lacked ambition. He never pursued a career. He just worked at bars. But Laura was quite driven from the beginning, which is why her parents worried that he would end up breaking her heart. But were they right to be worried? Her parents were concerned for her happiness, and even before Laura and Jack walked down the aisle. They could tell she was in love, but they also believed she had a lot more to offer than he did. No matter what they told her, she was determined to marry Jack. But she would later come to regret this decision. Once Laura graduated college, she moved into Jack's tiny apartment, but it was a nightmare. There were leaks in the bathroom, the carpeting was old, and the walls needed new paint. Still, she decided to look on the bright side and even tried making the place homier, but he wasn't keeping up his end of the bargain. They couldn't exactly save a lot of money since Jack only worked odd jobs every now and then. Although Laura was the main provider, money was tight, and while her parents were well off, they didn't give her any money because they were afraid Jack would spend it all. So Laura took a risk. Laura had been playing the lottery every week and kept her fingers crossed every time, but she hadn't been lucky so far. To make matters worse, her relationship to Jack started to break down. Soon enough, they started arguing about everything, and eventually they stopped talking. But what he did to her was unbelievable. Things kept getting worse. Their rent had gone up, and Laura had to take on extra shifts to make ends meet. But as the years went by, they fought about their career and kids. She also wanted to go back to college, but Jack didn't take her dreams into consideration. He was pulling away, but she was determined to focus on her future. Jack's ending job had him working well into the late evening hours, which made it difficult for them to spend any time with each other. So sometimes Laura would stop by after her shift to say hello. But that's when she noticed his coworkers eyeing her suspiciously. She worried that Jack's coworkers were acting weird because he was seeing someone else. But she put her suspicions aside when she won the lottery. Laura was able to quit her boring job and planned on doing something special for Jack, who had been working long hours. Then she came up with the perfect idea. Or so she thought. Laura had picked Hawaii as her romantic getaway. It seemed like the perfect vacation spot to smooth away the wrinkles in her marriage. But while she was preparing for this loving gesture, Jack had been busy plotting something sinister behind her back the whole time. When she went to the fridge, she saw a letter that read, "Dear wife, I'm writing this letter to let you know that I'm leaving you forever. The truth is that I've been a good husband to you in our 7 years of marriage, and I have absolutely nothing from that. These last couple of weeks have been really hard for me." But that wasn't the end of his hurtful words. Jack's letter continued to read, "Your boss told me that you left your job today, and that was the final straw. 2 weeks ago when you came home after work, you didn't even notice that I'd cooked your favorite dish, that I had a brand new haircut, or that I had a new pair of boxers. You just ate for a couple minutes, you watched all your soaps, and you went straight to bed." And then he did the unthinkable. "The truth is that you don't want to be intimate with me, and you don't show your love in any way. Either you don't love me anymore or you're cheating on me. Whatever the case, I have to say it's over and I'm leaving," he wrote. And then she realized that he wasn't the only one who had betrayed her. Jack also added, "P.S. Please do not try to find me. Your sister Carla and I are moving to West Virginia together. Wish you the best, and I hope you have a great life." Laura started to cry. But then she couldn't stop laughing. Had she lost her mind? Laura got on her laptop and wrote a response. "Dear husband, believe me one thing. Getting your letter really made my day. Yes, it's true that we've been married for 7 years, but a good husband is completely different from what you've been." And she didn't stop there. She continued to respond to each point that he'd made about why she was a bad wife. "Yes, I watch TV shows, but I do it because the soaps drown out your nonstop griping and whining, but this doesn't seem to work." And if her words had been a bat, she would have kept on swinging. "And yes, I noticed your brand new haircut, but the first thing I thought was that you look like a girl. And you know I was raised not to say anything in case I cannot say something nice. For that reason, I decided not to speak about it or comment your haircut," she added. But there was one point that Jack had made that left her confused. "When you made my favorite dish, you must have gotten me mixed with my lovely sister, since I stopped consuming pork 7 years ago," she wrote. She knew something was off, but she wasn't sure what it was until he mentioned his new boxers. "When it comes to your new boxers, I didn't comment since you still have the $49.80 price tag on them. And I hope that it was a coincidence that my lovely sister Carla had borrowed $50 from me the same day," Laura wrote. But in that moment, she wondered if she'd gone too far. Laura no longer felt bad because she'd done everything to save her marriage. She'd repeatedly tried to arrange date nights. And yes, she was tempted to stray, but she chose to remain loyal to her husband. Now it was time to think of herself for a change. But she still had more to say to her husband. "But even after all, I still cared about you and I loved you. And I believed that we might make this work. So when I got Lotto for $15 million, what I did was quit my job and bought us 2 tickets to Hawaii. But by the time I got home, you were already gone. I guess there's a reason for everything," she added. And then she threw 2 bombshells. "I genuinely hope that you'll have the life you always desired," she wrote. "Moreover, according to my lawyer, the letter you sent me ensures that you won't get a dime from what I got now. So there's nothing more to say but take care," she added. But there actually was one more thing to say. Laura had a major secret to get off her chest, but it wasn't hers, it was her sister's secret. "P.S. I believe I haven't told you this, but my lovely sister Carla was actually born as Carl. I hope that's no issue for you," she wrote. And then she decided to do something for herself for a change. Jack had left Laura for her sister, who was formerly her brother-in-law, but Laura was the one who'd gotten the last laugh. And now that her response to her husband was sent, she called a cab and headed to the airport to jet to paradise. Jack was no longer in her life, but there was no way she was going to miss out on a vacation to Hawaii. She was free to do whatever she wanted, and she was relieved that her suspicions of him had been right all along. Now she could live her life the way she wanted without any extra baggage.